The old school RuneScape high scores. There's thousands of entrants on it, logs for everything from skills to clue scrolls to bossing.
And among the permanent high scores, the hardcore Ironman variant is by far the rarest place to find an account.
There's several bosses with just a couple of entrants on it, but when this journey started, there was only one boss that had 0 accounts on its high scores. And that was the Corrupted Gauntlet. This is Hardcore Iron Man, Race for the Blade. Hey guys, this is episode 3 in the series. If you haven't already seen the first 2 episodes, there'll be a playlist down in the description. Also, after this episode, I'm gonna try out some new content for the channel as I'll be playing Trailblazer League, and I think that there'll be a lot of cool stuff to stream as well as make videos of. However, that doesn't mean this series is done. Episode 4 will make a return when I have some free time during the next couple of weeks, and that'll catch us up to the present progress on the account. If you guys want to see either the Hardcore Ironman or Trailblazer League happen live, I plan on streaming most of my progress over on my Twitch, also found in the description. Hopefully I'll see you guys there, and for now, enjoy the video. Last time on Race for the Blade, Alfie got a twisted bow and rushed ahead while I was playing Deadman mode. Afterwards, I did Major Arena 1 and 2, and somehow lived after getting chanced twice. I then got a Dragon Warhammer and did Monkey Madness 2. At the end, Alfie got comboed out at the Theater of Blood and lost his hardcore status. So, efficiency planked. I mean, it's not like I didn't see that coming, it just look at all the Reddit memes of Alfie's hardcores, and, well, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I can't help but feel like it puts me in a weird place. Now there's no motivation. The race between two just became a race against myself. There's no reason for me to get it done in a time frame, and it certainly changes the plan going forward. So what next? I'm gonna take a little break. Oh man, what a lovely day for fishing. Frenchie! Frenchie! What? Who's there? It's your obviously fake double, only I'm a ghost! Okay, what do you want? You need to go back and finish off the race. What? Why? There's another racing for the blade. What? There's no way. Alfie said he wasn't gonna play hardcore anymore after he DC'd at Zulrah. No, he's not Alfie. He's a ginger. He's a ginger.
The plan of the new hardcore I'm making is I'm gonna do the gauntlet until I have both the blade and the pet.
So, Bodhi has decided to go for the Blade of Saldor as well. There's no official race between myself and him. In fact, other than this one tweet, I don't think he knows I exist. But it's a personal goal to beat him to the gauntlet itself. Now, while on that break, I decided to change up my plan a little bit. Initially, I was going to just do magic bursting and chinning, and then rush into the gauntlet as soon as I could. But, as the bet has now changed from beating Alfie to the blade to instead just receiving it without dying, there's a few changes to the plan to help make the gauntlet the safest it can be. Now, instead of just a mad rush, we'll slow down the pace a bit and add in a few more steps. In all of RuneScape, there are only 3 things that you can obtain outside of the gauntlet that you can then use in the gauntlet. The first is the lunar spell Vengeance, and while you can't actually cast it in the gauntlet, if you cast it beforehand, you keep the Venge state until you take damage in the gauntlet. The other 2 unlocks go hand in hand. They're the 2 prayer scrolls that you get from the Chambers of Xeric, unlocking Augury and Rigor. Those 2 prayers are the biggest buffs, not only in DPS, but also in defense for the gauntlet. So, that will be our next major goal, obtaining and unlocking both prayer scrolls as well as the 77 prayer to use them. After that, we jump right back into our old plan of going into the gauntlet. While grinding Chambers of Xeric before a Trident will be a hassle, the bigger problem will most likely be getting the prayer level. the prayer grind on a hardcore Ironman is not an easy one by any means. There's ensouled heads that you obtain over time through Slayer, but that can be a really slow grind. You most likely don't want to go into the wilderness for green dragons due to the obvious risk, so as a hardcore Ironman, you can either farm blue dragons in Taverley Dungeon, or get a high Slayer level for access to ensouled heads, as well as Hydra and Drake bones, both a very long ways off. But still, there is a third option. But it's blocked behind one of the longest and most dangerous quests in old school RuneScape, Dragon Slayer 2. After completion of Dragon Slayer 2, you gain access to the Myths Guild, which has a dungeon that contains several of every type of dragon, and is the only non-wilderness location that has access to normal green dragons, which are a level 79 dragon variant, compared to blue dragons and skeletal wyverns, who are level 111 and 140 respectively. Also, it's right next to a teleport, so banking is a very small time waste compared to other methods. Still, all of this is locked behind 200 quest points, 68 mining, 70 smithing, as well as several other stats, and of course, 2 of the hardest quest boss fights in RuneScape. It turns out that my first step actually ends up being the exact same as it was before Alfie died. I need money. Money for the smithing grind for Dragon Slayer 2, as well as the ability to do some other grinds like 70 construction requirement for Song of the Elves, and Kingdom for the Herblore level. Luckily, I actually did a decent amount of AFKing U-logs during my break for not only the 70 woodcutting requirement for Song of the Elves, but also money from alching the longbows. As for my mining grind, I end up doing sandstone for decent XP, as well as buckets of sand from the grinder for eventually getting my crafting up. As for the smithing plan, I'm going to do a bit of motherlode mine for just some ore, but mainly I'll be buying gold ore and smithing that at the blast furnace with goldsmith gauntlets for the fastest XP possible. Anyways, after a few days, the grinds are out of the way and it's time to jump back into questing for Dragon Slayer 2. There wasn't much to get done in the final jump to 200 quest points, so I just finished the Legends quest and then do some of the Marquee lines, so this way I'll have access to the clue scroll locations. Then, it's time for Dragon Slayer 2. For those unfamiliar with Dragon Slayer 2, it's divided into 3 major parts. There's the introduction, then finding the key that has been broken into 4 pieces, and lastly the assault against Dragonkin. For the introduction, it's fairly safe. You just run around the world and eventually you end up on Lunar Island, but then you have to fight Robert the Strong, a level 194 enemy who is weak to crush and hits through prayer. Luckily, I already had a Dragon Warhammer at this point, so Robert the Strong wasn't too much of a hassle. After the boss fight, it's time to find the 4 different pieces of the key that have been spread throughout the world. There's a maze on Karamja that's fairly difficult but not a major risk, a puzzle in Korinth that sits in a similar boat. Then there's a simple locator task in Mauritania that's similar to Hot and Cold on a clue scroll, and the last piece is found north of Relica after another boss fight, this time to Vorkath. Vorkath is a blue dragon that has a one-hit mechanic, as well as a phase that deals high damage every tick that you aren't moving. But, as the quest variant is weaker than the boss that players end up farming, it's a fairly quick kill and there's no major chances. Now that we've combined all 4 key pieces, it's time to enter the last part of the quest, the assault against Dragonkin, as well as the final boss fight against Galvic. The assault is fairly easy, just tank damage by having an anti-fire pot, as well as an anti-fire shield, and then kill some dragons while dodging fireballs that one-shot you. The Galvic Fight is another story. Galvic is a red dragon with 1200 HP and a max hit of 28 in both range and magic, as well as a series of one-hit mechanics which change throughout the fight. There's the fireball attack that was mentioned earlier, fire bombs that he places on the ground that blow up if you get too close, as well as a tsunami attack that one-hits you if you aren't standing on the correct tile. The main challenge with this fight is going to be that I don't have unlimited brews. I only have a few that I got from demonic gorillas earlier, and once they're used up, I don't have a method for obtaining more very easily. So, I have to have a good start, or else I'll end up teleporting out and having to reset, which ends up happening a lot. But eventually, we finally get on a run. After using half of our brews on an earlier attempt, this is one of our last shots. Having some really good ruby bolt procs early on, we enter the final stage with 7 brew doses, 1 shark, and 1 Karambwan. So, with 0 food left in my inventory, I finish the Galvic boss fight and complete Dragon Slayer 2, one of the final 3 locations where I was likely to die before actually getting to the gauntlet. Now, all that stands between me and the gauntlet is the Prayer Grind, Chambers of Xeric, and Song of the Elves.